Hello, Steve here. Welcome to Kinitrology, the new study of incentives. You can't call anything ology anymore. It's this and that. And you can't call it incentive studies because it's this and that. Well, stuff is all. I'll call it what I want because I am the creator of it after all. So today, you clicked on today. Today is a bit of an attempt, a very unprepared attempt, a warts and all unprepared attempt, which is the worst category you could possibly have to discuss something. So on ideas, what are ideas and why are they so powerful, which is a segment, maybe interchangeable term to use for ideology perhaps. An idea in an invention, an idea in entrepreneurship, an idea in creating something, like creating this. Wasn't that a massive idea to create a whole new field of study, incentives, our intent in the incentives, and also another way to think of it, the science of honesty. So ideas. Usually when I mention ideas like how do we get here, what made us get here and all that sort of thing, then people hijack it with evolution versus creation and the same old sort of thing. What if, we didn't eventuate from like a primordial soup type situation, where the chance occurrence of this and that selection, where some of the evolutionary biologists and evolutionary psychologists are trying to suggest that it's sexual selection that got us here, not natural selection. Maybe Charles Darwin, of that idea with creation versus evolution. Maybe Charles Darwin wanted to say sexual selection, but it was too improper. It was improper to suggest that it's not about creation, right? But to also suggest that it's all about what partner you see. That would have been very challenging. So he settled on natural selection, survival of the fittest, dog eat dog type ideas. And at some time, there was something profound that I thought, if you had to, was it Michael Saylor on an economic type show, and he suggested if you had to pick three of the most definitive drivers of our progress as humans, it would have been fire, water, and bullets, or projectiles. Also, you could probably put in spears in there. Spears, rocks, spears, cannonballs, bullets, rockets, and then everything is kaboom. Big Bang or black hole. I heard also recently that black holes aren't black holes. They're just these revolving centerpieces of nothing, and it may not be nothing. Some black holes are very bright in the center there, and those sort of ideas with gases and the like. So in challenging, like there was someone that not quite challenged the fire, water, bullets. Water was very important in carting heavy things, and who knows? I'm bumping the light source. No, it's still moving. I wonder how the footy's going. If Libby's still there. Thumbs, digestive tract, and then fire. Thumbs, like if you don't have thumbs, you can't make fire. How are you going to manipulate all the fire making? things, right? And digestive system, where you start cooking your foodstuffs, and rather than eating for 10 hours a day, you now cook the buffalo or whatever you're catching, deer and the like, and bingo bongo, you got more leisure time on your hands, and then we end up with people like Socrates, Christ, and Charles Darwin. Yeah. And how do ideas stick? Darwinist theories stuck. Communist theories stuck to us. Capitalistic theories stuck to us. Adam Smith, Karl Marx, Judaism, Christianity, Muslim, and beyond, stuck in the certain regions of the world where you're born into it. Imagine now, you're, I don't know, pick a spot, born in India, in a Hindu type setup, and then you reach the age of 7. Is that the age of reason? Anyway, you reach the age of 7 and you say, oh, I don't want to be Hindu, I want to be a Muslim. They'll just slap you, right? So that's a quick idea on that. Imagine saying, oh, arranged marriage, I don't want to have an arranged marriage. Yeah, you know where that's going. Ideas stick for a particular reason. Do you think the so-called profound idea of Copernicus, was it Harriet before that, but Copernicus or Galileo, that Earth, we're not Earth-centric, we're Sun-centric, and there was the whole Ptolemaic system of waxing and waning of where Mars is, where Jupiter is, and there's circles within circles, all that sort of thing. It was still observation based, but it started from a paradigm that Earth is the center. Then you get way back, even currently with the flat earthers. I've attempted, it didn't get me anywhere, but I've attempted to entertain the flat earthers, as in, help me believe. And I'm going to also wait for critical race theory type academics or students of feminists and LGBTIQ. There's no gender and all that sort of thing. So all those liberal type progressive ideas, extreme far left, I'm waiting. I'd like to find out more to how to understand wokeism. And ism usually is an idea like communism, capitalism, socialism, fascism, leftist. They don't say rightist, do they? They just sort of conservative or far right. Yeah. So they stick for particular they meet the needs of the authority of the time. Socrates he didn't even write anything down. He just said, hey, let's talk philosophy, and you can buy me a meal. And yeah, sure. That sort of thing. And then Plato tried to take down all his teachings. So that's how we got Socrates. And then Aristotle challenged Plato, his teacher. So Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, they're all connected. They're all pupils of each other, apart from, Socrates being the starter of all things, Western type philosophy. And then we get all these ideas. We went from polytheist type ideas to monotheism. We went into the Dark Ages and we tried different systems of authority. Monarchies had a good run. They're still trying with monarchies. And sometimes those revolutions in Russia and France and the like didn't quite work. America, so-called, perhaps worked, the American Revolution, because they're a power, and why should you have a power, all that sort of thing. The sort of assumptions that we start with. What is progress, and what is sustaining 500 million people versus 8 billion people and the like? Is a standard of living to have air conditioning, hot water anytime, lights, is that a good standard of living versus working just 3 hours a day, catching a deer, picking some berries, fetching some water from the stream, and that was a 3-hour work day versus the hour commute, the 8-hour work day, the hour commute back, plus the gaining of provisions to cook that night. That 3 hours, that's including cooking that I'm talking about. So, yeah. What sort of progress, right? So, ideas on progress, ideas on living standards, ideas on ideas. The idea of ideas. So they've stuck for certain reasons, and these certain reasons driven by the authority of the time. So there was Marcus Aurelius, a thinking emperor type figure. Do I need to be bothered with all this emperor stuff? He wanted to just write about philosophy and the like, and he had some profound works. His philosophy outlasted his. He didn't have a tyranny. He was quite a competent emperor. Why am I thinking he wasn't an emperor? He was. Anyway. So Galileo's thoughts stood the test of time because we also had empirical evidence. We supposedly put man on the moon. I don't know if we put man on the moon in 1969, but by 1973, we surely could have. I don't know, for all those people that are going to challenge the man on the moon thing and the whole, which belt is it? You can't get through that belt. It'll penetrate the lead in the spaceship and all that sort of thing. Rocket. Capsule. Ryan belt? Allen belt? I don't know, one of those. So, which other ideas? I've just been talking about political ideas and the ideas of existence, like metaphysics, epistemology, politics, ethics, ethics of survival, mate selection, our social interactions, communications. Some upcoming episode subjects just came out just then. So there you go. I want to check the footy score. There's a footy game happening tonight, Queensland, New South Wales, and Queensland was in front, which is, I think they're the underdogs. Anyway, so will the progressive ideas of this date, 2023, stand the test of time? The whole woke ideas. If they serve the authorities of the time, who's driving it? Is it the authorities or is it the outspoken academia, which have their communication weapon type ideas where, how dare you, and there can't be really much discussion? That's my impression. I don't worry, the Conservatives have their issues too. I do note this often. I'm not a conservative. If you had to do a false dichotomy, yes, I'm conservative, but no, I'm not really. I don't want authority in our political landscape, and there needs to be more freedom. Libertarian? No. Libertarians aren't libertarians. They're very authoritative. Yeah. Ideas. Which other ideas should I reference? Ideas of art, fashion? Is that even a plausible thing to note, mention, comment on? Nah, I won't do it here. If there is any, none slap me in the head about it. Ideas in manufacture, the assembly line, management type styles, which the whole idea of management is is ethics and controlling workflows and that sort of thing, performance of employees and people. I'll mention the assembly line, or did Henry Ford just take that from loggers? Like, he just saw the loggers with their conveyor belt and thought, oh yeah, build cars like that. Was it loggers, or was it the butchery industry? Mightn't be either of those, or might be one of those. Don't take my word for it in this. I'm not sure on this occasion. Ideas of health, ideas in health. That's my main shtick. If anyone's interested in health ideas and whatnot, concierge health advisor, it's on the show notes. Have a gander if you want. The idea that we can treat disease with genetics. No, never. You can take my word for it. The idea of diet restriction and moving more, or exercise equals weight loss. Yes. But micronutrient deficiencies, the more you exercise, the more micronutrient deficiency, and you got downstream obesity. That's what's happening. Not, there are obese people that have never exercised and they're just micronutrient deficient. That's my quick thought on that for people that won't go into my real health podcast area. Ideas on modafinil and psychedelics and that sort of thing. That's psychedelics and marijuana use, and what a great excuse to get high. They're bringing that back in. What a great excuse to get high, to treat mental health, and to find meaning. Really? Great excuse. Oh yeah. Hero dose, micro dose. Shut up. Don't give me that. Did I even do an episode? I forget. Ideas in art and literature, genres, ideas in technology and science. Technology. I've heard this recent. What's it called? What would it be called? Perhaps an idea, but we have these emotions of a Neanderthal or Stone Age man, back in when we were created or evolving. Then we've got medieval institutions like government, the courts, the church, and then we have godlike tech like QR code and microchip this, and satellites that, and bombs this, and hey, oh. Do I say godlike tech? So emotions of a Neanderthal, medieval institutions, and godlike tech. Yeah, I think I mentioned it. Yeah, so that's the proper line. That was quite insightful. So imagine a monkey, and they've got this thing called the internet, and they're woo. That's funny. Ideas on the whole evolution, where it's all about mate selection, and the way we have mate selection now, and what's a mating strategy? Is this even fitting into the whole idea of ideas? No, I won't go down relationships. Did I even just do I think I did an episode on the whole relationships and marriage, and how we're stuffing each other up. Both sexes. Yes, both sexes. I said it. I do get how there's how gender, as in gender traits, can be like a 60-40 bit of a split, but the extreme aggression and the extreme nurturers, a man would be, you wouldn't get 1 out of 100 out of the extreme, most aggressive. You wouldn't get any women in the 100 most aggressive men ever, aggressive humans ever, and you wouldn't get the greatest of nurturers in the 100 greatest nurturers that aren't women. Or is that the other comparison to make there? But in the middle, it's 60-40. You do get more sensitive men and more masculine type women, and yeah. So I do get the whole gender thing with traits, but to identify as non-binary and this and that, well, I'm not a biologist, or well, neither are you, type thing, if you're progressive, to suggest that the whole non-binary and gender this and such that, which is there is no sex difference and all that sort of thing. Well, why even say there's a sex difference if there's no sex difference? Well, yes, that's a rightist, right side of the aisle and conservative thought. But that's the thing. There's never any discussion with extreme left and even modest right. I don't think there is a far right, actually. If there is, it's not. They're not really visible. Well, the woke extreme left are, though. Again, on political ideas. It's on the brain, you see. So I think I might bail on this attempt today to unpack and repack the whole idea of ideas. I think the moral of today is they stick for a reason, and the authorities of the time serves their purpose. The authorities of the time to hold on to factories and capitalism and new inventions and that sort of thing in the big cities where what was it called? Food availability or food production methods just escalated, like the yield we were starting to get in early 18th century out of food, even in the 17th century, where we started to get like 1,000%, 1,500% more food returned off the land, and as a result, the lords of the time were enabled the productive people to force out the unproductive farmers, and all of a sudden, bingo bongo, more people available to make stuff in the cities, and that's where factories started, and then bingo bongo, Henry Ford and Then we get the whole military industrial complex and further industrial type factories, and then we get mega tech with computers and internet, and now with AI, because it's allowed. Why do we have certain crimes? Because it's allowed. Why do we have the sort of relationships and divorce rates that we have now? Because it's allowed. How about that night as an idea to end with? I reckon that's a good one. Things happen because they're allowed. Aggression happens because it's allowed. Well, I'll challenge my own challenge by suggesting that we have relatively safe societies now, because the cost, here's some of the incentive part in ideas and the idea of safety and security, is that the cost of harming others or taking other people's stuff is quite costly compared to historical comparisons. So people just don't do it. Well, they do, but comparatively speaking, throughout history, much less. So, if you ever thought, why are some ideas prevalent that don't make sense and this and that? Well, you don't belong in that milieu. You don't belong. There's so much freedom now that many ideas are out there, and the ones that stick are the ones that most people love to have. Maybe there's a lot of progressives out there which do want the sort of woke ideas to propagate because that's what they want. I don't know how, but I still know a lot of conservative types that don't want woke things, but they accept it. Ah, there you go. It's allowed. It's allowed. It's allowed. Yeah. And the conservative types aren't going to challenge because they'll get their stuff taken away when they get incarcerated, type thing. So there you go. Please don't get me wrong, I'm not overtly conservative. I'd love to have a conservative, more progressive or liberal in a discussion, an interview, a chat, in a guest spot perhaps. Let's talk, let's chat, let's flap the gums and help us be friendly. And it doesn't look like it, does it? Especially in the US, where most of the narratives and the ideas and the media comes from. And the Australians, the Europeans and everywhere else just copy it, except the Chinese and Indians and Russians perhaps, but that's conservative. They're living conservative. We don't like China or what Russia's doing, but guess what? They're quite conservative. So maybe it's not a good idea, conservative people, to have an existence like China, Russia, India, because they're very authoritative and it's terrible to live in those countries, don't you know? There you go. How about that for a challenge of ideas? Wokeism is bad, progressivism is bad, coming from the right, but wait, you want to have a China or Russia on your hands? Conservatives? See, I'm not overtly conservative. Hey, what a good rescue. Right, I'm done. Until the next time. Hopefully I'll get 2.1 listeners instead of 1.3. Right, red button, red button.